The first secret was something I had been ignoring my entire life, and I never realized how powerful it was until I put it into practice. It all starts with how you think about studying. Instead of viewing it as a boring task, approach it with positive expectations. And this isn't just about thinking happy thoughts. There's actual science behind it. Research has shown that when we believe we are capable of achieving something, we are far more likely to succeed. Before knowing this, I always felt like studying was going to take up my entire day, and guess what? It actually did. My stress about the task seemed to stretch the hours out even longer. But after learning about this secret, I tried something different. Before each study session, I would set a realistic amount of time for the task, telling myself, this is going to take me just 30 minutes, or I can finish this in an hour. And the results really surprised me. It actually worked. But this would not have worked if I didn't know the second secret, which completely transformed how I approached every new topic. Instead of diving straight into a textbook or set of notes, I began using a method that's backed by cognitive psychology research, previewing before reading. Researchers found that when students previewed material by skimming headings, subheadings, and summaries before reading, they could better understand complex topics and retain the details longer. So whenever I began a new chapter or topic, I made sure to skim the main headings and subheadings first. This gave me the big picture before I got lost in the smaller details. But I didn't stop there. I took it a step further by jotting down questions that popped into my mind while previewing. These could be simple questions like, what does this mean? Or more complex ones like, how does this connect to what I learned earlier? This method is one of the most effective ways to actively engage with the material. Research has shown that when we read with questions in mind, we activate critical thinking processes, making it easier to understand and recall information later. For me, this turned reading into more of an interactive experience. I found myself more focused and motivated because I was now searching for answers, not just reading for the sake of it. But after figuring out how to approach each topic, I had another question. How long should I study before taking a break? That's where the third secret came in, and honestly, it felt like a cheat code. At first, I thought I knew how to take breaks. I mean, who doesn't scroll through their social media or check notifications after a few minutes of studying? But it turns out that's exactly the wrong kind of break. Studies suggest that sustained attention starts to drop after just 25 to 30 minutes of focused activity. That's when I discovered the Pomodoro Technique, which says study for 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break doing something that relaxes you, like stretching or grabbing a drink of water. These short bursts of focus, followed by quick rest periods, allow the brain to reset and recover. I tried it out, and I couldn't believe how refreshed I felt after each break. I wasn't drained or bored anymore, and my concentration skyrocketed. Actually, this was the break I didn't know I desperately needed. But even with breaks, I still felt like I was forcing myself to study sometimes. And that's where the next secret made a huge difference for me. I found out that timing can make a huge difference in how much we retain and how efficiently we work. Neuroscience research indicates that our brain goes through natural cycles of energy and focus throughout the day, known as circadian rhythms. These rhythms determine when we're most alert and when we're more likely to feel mentally drained. I used to think I could study at any time and get the same results, but I always struggled in the afternoons, especially right after lunch. I didn't know it at the time, but this is known as the post-lunch dip, a phenomenon where our brain slows down and we experience a natural drop in energy levels due to the body's circadian rhythm and the energy used for digestion. Once I understood this, I stopped forcing myself to study during those sluggish afternoon hours. Instead, I shifted my study sessions to times when my brain was naturally more alert, like in the morning or late afternoon. A study also found that for many people, cognitive performance peaks between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., and then again in the late afternoon. And when I aligned my study time with my peak hours, I realized that I wasn't struggling to stay focused, and I got more done in less time. Then the fifth secret was a game changer for me. It wasn't just about looking at words on a page anymore. I learned that to really retain information, you need to engage more than just your eyes. Research shows that the more senses we involve in learning, the better our brain processes and stores the information. So when I started incorporating other senses, like speaking out loud, drawing diagrams, or watching videos on the same topic, everything changed. It wasn't just about seeing the information. It was about hearing it, saying it, and even visualizing it. A study also found that students who engaged multiple senses while studying retained up to 50% more information than those who only read or listened passively. This multi-sensory approach made the material stick in my mind much better because I was engaging multiple parts of my brain. And the best part? During exams, I could almost see the diagrams in my head or hear myself explaining the concept, making recall so much easier. But there was still something missing. I didn't feel in control of my studies. That's when the sixth secret finally gave me that control. The idea was simple: set a time limit for each study session. Before, I would sit down to study with no real sense of how long I'd be at it, which made the experience feel endless and overwhelming. But this small shift, setting a timer, changed everything. According to Parkinson's law, work expands to fill the time available for its completion. This means that if you don't have a set time limit, the task will naturally drag on, making it feel exhausting and never-ending. By setting a timer, whether it was for an hour or more, I found myself becoming more focused and efficient. I wasn't wasting time anymore by scrolling through my phone or getting distracted because I knew the timer was running. And more importantly, I wasn't stressed by the idea of a long, never-ending study session. It gave me a sense of accomplishment when I finished on time. Then finally, the seventh secret was the most unexpected but also the most effective of them all. It was the idea of teaching someone else what you've learned. At first, this felt a bit odd. I didn't think I was qualified to teach anyone. But what I didn't realize was that teaching forces your brain to organize and simplify the material, which is one of the best ways to truly understand something. As Albert Einstein once said, "If you can't explain something simply, you don't understand it well enough." This strategy is supported by the Feynman Technique, which involves breaking down complex concepts and explaining them in simple terms, almost like you're teaching a child. Studies have shown that when we explain a concept to someone else, we strengthen our grasp on the material because we have to break it down in a way that's clear and logical. The process of teaching helps identify gaps in your knowledge, which makes it easier to go back and fill those gaps. When I started applying this, I would explain things to my younger siblings or even to myself in front of a mirror. It was all about studying smarter instead of studying harder. And for more smart study tips, I have a whole Study Smart playlist for you.